Happy Monday, people. How's it going? Here's something that might make you crack up. Tells me that I really need to get rid of the blonde roots and go back dark again. That's what I'm talking about. This, my friend, took a little trip in the washing machine. Broken! Yeah, I'm a little upset. But hey, maybe that's God just giving me a little gift saying, hey Kelly, now your little iPod's broken, go get yourself a real one. Okay, anyway. So, I am running way behind on a Monday, as usual. Way behind. I had call after call after call this morning. I was up very late last night on a late call, which was unexpected. And so, got a late start to today. I'm gonna have a lot to do, but here I am vlogging for you. And I wanted to share with you guys, I had this really good conversation with my mom. We went to lunch this weekend, and we were both talking about, you know, diet and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, I'm just so frustrated. I feel like, you know, I feel like the past 6 months have been crazy, and, you know, I'm frustrated that the shorts that I was wearing last summer, I can't wear yet, you know, yeah. And I was just kind of like complaining and saying, you know, for somebody that eats as healthy as me and works out, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like I'm having the results of somebody that pigs out all the time and goes drinking every night. Not that I feel like that's what is going to be in the future, but just where I am right now. And I was just really having a downtime. You know, it was that time of the month. So anyway, my mom said something, and I don't know how she said it, but she's like, you know, maybe you've changed too much, and maybe you should just go back to what you know and what you know works for you. And I know I've heard that before, and I've said that to myself before. But it really struck me, and she's like, Kelly, you know, the first time that you really started to make huge strides in your weight loss efforts and your working out was when you started taking out your paper and recording every single thing. And she goes, I remember you saying to me how, you know, you couldn't believe that you were doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it was adding up to, you know, extra calories. And I looked at her immediately and I said, look, Mom, here's the deal. I know what I'm eating, and I'm eating fine, and I'm only eating this, I'm only eating this, I'm only eating this. But it was just like haunting me the rest of the day. And I'm coming home and I'm starting to think. And, hold on. I can never get the volume right. So it's just the right, but not background music. Anyway, so I'm like on my way home and I'm just thinking about this. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe this has got to be part of everything. I think that realistically speaking, since whenever it was, back in November, it was after I'd started taking the Accutane, you know, and I just felt like I was just getting bigger no matter what. Realistically speaking, you know, I've got to be able to take responsibility. I don't think that I was ever trying to take responsibility, but I've got to take responsibility and go, okay, let's be realistic. And my mom had asked me, she goes, have you been working out consistently since that time, the way that you've always been working out in the past, like when you first started training with Jay? And has your diet been exactly the same? And I'm like, well, absolutely not. No, you know, because there were times that I was so sick with the, you know, with the stuff last summer, you know, that I had to come home and lay on my couch and put all of these, you know, medicines and ointment on my chest or whatever. And then there were times that, you know, in December when I was sick with like the flu that everybody had, and I was, you know, I didn't have health insurance, so I wasn't going to go to the doctor, so I was just sick. And laying down and not working out. So my workout training was, you know, off in December, and I keep thinking about all these different times that I was off, and then I was saying, okay, I'm getting back into it, whatever. And then all that time too, you know, my diet was off. It doesn't matter if you're not eating bad food. And I remember that, who was just saying this on their blog? They were talking about organic food. Golly, I'm going blank. I'm totally going blank. I'll look it up later. But she was just saying, you know, it doesn't matter if you're going around eating completely organic food, raw food, vegan food, whatever. If you're eating too much of it and you're snacking on, you know, Paul Newman's organic cookies or whatever, you can still eat too many of those. You can still overeat. And the bottom line is, we all know this. At the end of the day, it is what you're burning versus what you're taking in. And I was sitting here thinking yesterday, I think it was yesterday or Saturday that my mom and I went to eat, and I'm like, you know what? You know, realistically, I have been eating my normal healthy food. I have been having oatmeal and, you know, tuna with good organic dressing, and, you know, my diet and what I've been eating has only been getting better, and I cut out the soda and I cut out the artificial sweetener. But you know what? If you're not paying attention and you really think about it, you know, it's so easy. It is so easy to sneak in an extra 500 calories a day. Guess what, folks? An extra 500 calories in a day. Pearl Jam, excuse me. Pearl Jam does something for me. An extra 500 calories a day is an extra 3,500 calories a week, which is a pound, okay? If you don't pay attention, you can either be thwarting your fat loss efforts, or you could be, if you really go the other way, you could be gaining weight. And here I am going, you know, what's wrong? What about this? Blah, blah, blah. You know, my workout, my consistency, where it has always been completely even, you know, when I was going every single day and tracking it or whatever. I got to be honest with myself and say, hey, you know what? You were completely off the charts all over the place. Whether it was justified or not, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk to you a little bit later. So I sat there and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of an annoying thing, but it's also a good thing, because I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. It's time for me to take it back to basics. Because even though I know what I've been eating, even though I don't drink during the week, or really on the weekends, I really hardly ever drink. I drink when I have a party and when I have social events or whatever. But, you know, there have been trips here where like when I was in New York, I worked out one time that whole week. There's a week. The first time I was in New York in January, I worked out 2 times that whole week. That was, you know, those are 2 separate weeks where we're talking about my normal consistency for working out is 6 days a week. How many more of those add up? You've got to, you know, I have to be willing to take responsibility and say, okay, you think you've been good, but you've been really kind of more at like a C+ level, when your normal game, Kelly, is more like an A- or an A. So it's time for me to jack it back up to an A. Okay, I'm taking it back to basics. I got my yellow pad of paper out. I'm writing down everything. You might be thinking, I thought you were writing down everything, and I was. I had a different pad, but guess what? I was doing it like every other day. If you don't do that and you have an extra piece of organic dark chocolate that you didn't account for, or you have an extra bowl of oatmeal because your stomach was bothering you late at night, this is stuff I'm saying. Or, you know, maybe that day you had an extra cappuccino. That's 80 calories there. All that stuff adds up. And then maybe you missed 2 workouts that week for whatever reason. All of that stuff adds up. And when you have more of those that grow and you don't pay attention, people, that's what this is all about. You got to pay attention. If for some of you guys, you weigh yourself every day. Some of us, we measure ourselves. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, hey, how is it that, you know, either maybe I didn't notice it. Maybe I didn't notice it when all this stuff was going along. Why? Because, you know, you're inside and it's winter and it's in Chicago, and the most of the things that you're wearing are like my sweats. So maybe it's just easier to not notice this kind of stuff. But it's time to just like jack it up, people, because you know what? It's been 2 weeks of awesome workouts. And it's been 2 weeks, well, it's been more than 2 weeks. I've been eating my, you know, healthy food. I've been sharing with you guys what I've been eating. But it's time to measure, get back to the basics. It's time to measure everything, because you know what? I am not getting to the end of this year like I did last year and not meeting my goals. Screw that, no way. If that's what it means, if I have to record absolutely every single thing, I refuse to accept that I cannot do this. And I have come too far. I have made too many gains in developing muscle and in getting strength and in getting, you know, better cardio capacity, whatever, to not continue and get across the finish line and then maintain it and get better all the time. So I am so excited. I feel like this could really be like what brings it all back together and really starts amping things up. So that's it. I'm eating what I know I like, what's healthy, what's comfortable for me, what's comfortable for my body, not what somebody else is saying is best for me. What I know, I'm writing it down, I'm tracking everything, I'm back to my consistency and my intensity, but I'm not overtraining, because you guys know that that's been like an issue with me in the past, is I overtrained. I was doing like 2.5 hours a day. That's crazy. And then not eating enough, and then that's just as bad. What I'm doing is 5 to 6 days a week, an hour, maybe hour and 15 minutes. Of a workout per day, alternating cardio, more cardio-ish, you know, sometimes kettlebells is like a little bit of weights thrown in there, cardio and weights every other day, and then writing down and measuring again everything I've eaten. I've certainly not been, I think my thing has not been portion sizes as much as an extra bit here and there. So the extra bits, bye-bye. That's all I have to say. Stay tuned, I gotta do part 2. Dang it!